Puls8 Radio.
Oh, end of the summer. It doesn't matter though, does it? Because I tell you what, the sunshine always shines on you, and you are my little rays of sunshine, aren't you? You really are. Look at your little faces beaming there. Well, apart from Martyn,
I'm on
obviously.
fleece tonight.
No. Well, you'd have to bring.
It's a
things
bit.
down, Martyn, wouldn't you?
It's a bit chilly.
Well,
It's a bit chilly around the willy, isn't it?
It is.
Not now. Not now. It is. It's actually quite. I'm in Ross-on-Sea in North Wales, and it's actually quite warm here. And I've heard it's going to get hot this weekend. It's going to get hotter next week, but not as hot as the show tonight. We have got something amazing lined up. A whole series of things. Well, Martyn, who have we got coming up first?
Affirmative, master.
Ready?
Fantastic impressions.
Hey, they're not bad, are they, Phil? Have you got one?
No.
Fair enough. Yeah, it is fair enough.
Crap.
But anyway, we have got an amazing night of music ahead of us tonight. Some fantastic things. We've bookended it. Well, Martyn's bookended this. Basically what happens is Martyn does all the hard work. Phil and I turn up. Phil's written some beautiful words that he always thinks about in his wonderful poetic mind. I turn up, have a quick listen to the songs beforehand, and then try and ramble something incoherently as the night goes on, and try and pretend that I actually know something about music. And then Phil picks me up, or Martyn picks me up, on the fact that I've mentioned 303 once again inside a song, and it wasn't actually in there. That's basically what happens throughout the show if you haven't been on once before.
Or it sounds like Chopin.
Or it sounds a bit like chopping. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, a bit of chopping. Yeah.
Chopping the garlic.
So we have got an amazing night of music tonight. We're going to have to be fairly snappy on our chat tonight because we've got such an amount of stuff to come in tonight. We've got a fantastic two-part interview coming up later on. We've got another piece that sits in between those interviews, which is a video, which you'll see, which is amazing, which has got some great stars in there, some all sorts of really interesting things coming up. Martyn's lined up a fantastic person to be interviewed. Phil and Martyn did a great job with that interview there. I stepped away from that. It was way outside my area of expertise or knowledge. And sorry, Phil,
Yeah, Martyn did the heavy lifting on that interview. Being the expert that he is, I think he's done a thesis on Delia Derbyshire, haven't you?
Well, exactly.
Dissertation as a poor man's thesis.
Yeah. Sorry, dissertation, of course.
So it is a piece about Delia Derbyshire that we've got coming up later on with the wonderful Dr. David Butler. So we'll come on to that a little bit later on. But first of all, obviously, we've got the start of our bookending coming on here. And Martyn, you always bookend this stuff absolutely amazingly. So we have some more well-known people to bookend the evening, and then we have some less well-known, as in part of our community, usually people in the centre there. So what are we starting off tonight? Who is it?
We've got Carabou. Never come back.
And what a piece of music this is. I mean, what a piece of music this is. I'd not come across... Have you come across Carabou before, Phil?
No, I hadn't actually. And it was, it was really good.
Astonishing. I mean, truly astonishing piece of music. Right, okay, let's tell you what, should we jump in? We'll have a listen. We'll pop out the other side. We'll have a chat. I'll shut up in between. I might even shut up a little bit on the other side. You never know your luck. Right, here we go. This is Carabou. This is Never Come Back.
If you're calling the butler, I'm very partial to tea and muffins.
Wow, what a way to start the show. What I forgot to ask you boys before we started that was, if you were going to pick, who would you pick to be your monster from Doctor Who to be before that song? I forgot to ask that, but you can do it after the song. That's fine. So, Martyn, if you were going to pick a monster to go around that song, what monster would you pick from Doctor Who?
Well, one of the most scariest one recently, I think, is a weeping angel.
Ooh.
Don't blink. Don't blink or you die. Oh, blinked.
Phil?
Sontaran, like a bald, sort of, he was hewn out of stone-looking geezer.
I know exactly
with
the
a
fella.
curved head.
I know exactly the fella. I've got him coming up later on myself.
Sontaran.
I picked a Zygon. From 1975.
Oh, yeah.
Funny suction things on his hair. I
know why you chose that one, because it looks like a massive penis.
No, that's
tendril suckers.
Anyway, onto the song.
I've got him down.
Oh, now, Arthur.
Right, Martyn, quite right. Right, but anyway, Carabou, Never Come Back. I think is it Dan Snaith?
Yes, Dan Snaith, Canadian.
Yeah.
It's funny. He's actually also known as Manitoba and Daphne, whatever. Right. He's got multiple personalities, but Carabou is probably his best known.
It was just an amazing piece of music. So where did you pick this up from? Because I've not come across. I wish I had come across Carabou before, and I'm glad that I've discovered them through you now.
I got about 3 albums from Carabou, and I got this on my birthday actually back in July, and we were playing in the car, and this is from his latest album 2020 called Suddenly.
Phil, you've got poetry at heart, so you'll have some poetic justice to give this, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, I don't know whether mine's coming out happy, but I've put a tormented lamb calls for its mother in a field of stabbing synth chords. Meanwhile, a cowbell tapping soft-voiced shepherd is coming to its rescue.
Well, that's lovely, slightly frightening, and actually I think that fits another song a little bit later on as well, which I'm not going to mention yet. You guys probably know exactly what I mean, but that fits quite nicely into something a little bit later on. You're always very good with words, Phil. Listen, we're going to have to be really snappy tonight, so we're going to have to move on to the next song. That was a wonderful piece of music, Carabou, Never Come Back.
Carabouland.bandcamp.com.
Bandcamp.com.
Let's do that again. Carabouband.bandcamp.com.
Easy for you to say.
Brilliant.
Absolutely. Go and have a look. Thank you very much indeed for letting us play that. It's a wonderful, wonderful piece of music. Absolutely amazing. So let's just have a look at who we've got coming up next. We've got something amazing again coming up next. Discoteca, Fatale, Revelations. Right, we'll talk about this on the other side, but just really quickly, Martyn, where are these from? I mean, it sounds French, but am I right? Am I wrong?
Well, it's a bit strange. Essa Clemola, his name is.
Okay.
He lives in Portugal, and he's from Finland, I think.
Nothing to do with France whatsoever. Yeah.
Well, it's probably about midway between, isn't it?
Yeah, he's probably been on holiday there once. Tell you what, let's have a listen. This is Discoteca, Fatale, Revelations.
Now drop your weapons, or I'll kill him with this deadly jelly baby.
That's great. Discoteca. I can't even say it. Discoteca. Fatale. Is that it? Revelations. I think it is. Not from France, from somewhere else. Portugal or thereabouts. And somewhere
Via
like
Finland.
Well, via Finland. Absolutely. Come on, Phil. Give that poetic justice. None of the other of us can do that.
Well, I've written down here, I feel a bit like Mystic Meg with some of my delivery, but a beautifully gritty echoscape zaps and blips you into a world of melodic lemon zest, whilst the therapist's mantra calms your turbulent mind.
I feel better just having listened to that.
Yeah.
I think once you've heard the song straight and you hear my words straight after, it all makes sense.
They do. Sometimes you make me want to go to the toilet. I'm not sure whether that's my prostate or just the relaxing way that your words come out. It's hard to know.
Yeah. It's like massaging your prostate, my words.
It is, Phil. But not now, Arthur. Anyway, Martyn, wonderful piece of music as always. You've chosen something fantastic. You really have. Where did you get these from? Tell us a little bit about this.
Oh, well, one of the guys in our community, you know, the amazing amount of people we've had join the past few weeks, a couple of months or so. We've been inundated, and this is one of the guys who's now in the Puls8 community.
Brilliant.
And it's a lovely tune, and so got a sort of craftworky vibe to me. With the vocals, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I just wrote down gorgeously emotional piece, gentle, thoughtful. It's just a really lovely piece of music. Really enjoyed listening to it, pretty much every second of that, really. And again, I'm really sorry we can't talk much more about these tonight. We've got to be quite snappy tonight because of the amount of stuff we've got to get in. For your next song, lads, this is Navot, Little Lucas. Just give us a monster, would you? If you haven't prepared one, I have. Ooh. Cybermen. But if you haven't prepared one, then you have to give me a Cyberman voice very quickly before we get onto it.
Delete.
Good. Good. Phil, have you got anything that could possibly be?
Yeah. A 1960s monster called the Eight Legs, which was basically a bloody spider on close zoom. They saved a bit of money on the budget there by close zooming a spider.
Called Eight Legs.
It's just called Eight Legs. That's what it was called.
They've gone all out with the names, haven't they?
What should we call this 8-legged creature? Let's call it 8 legs. It's crap, but it will do. It's a bit like when they found Newfoundland. Yeah. What should we call this Newfoundland?
Yeah.
It's almost like I've written the script. It's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's jump in. This is Navot, Little Lucas. that was Navot, Little Lucas. I thought at first that had a real feel of Tim Lewin to me. Was that just me?
Yeah.
Often is.
I thought
Yeah.
it sounded quite modular, but it sounded a bit like our friend Probby in the first part, because it was a game of two halves, I suppose, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was, but it was quite chiptuney to kick off with.
Yeah.
I thought, but it was. You're absolutely right. It was a game of two halves. Go on, Phil. Give us some wax lyrical. Dude.
Yeah, like you're saying, the chiptuney, which is probably why I came out with this. Skittish electronic mice nibble and shuffle beneath floorboards, bending under the weight of otherworldly activity until nighttime brings an eerie calmness. Because at the end, it all fades out, doesn't it? And
It does.
Goes a little bit instrumental there at the end. Beautiful piece of work.
It is a beautiful piece of work. I just wrote down, apart from the Tim Lewin bit, I just wrote down, it felt to me like driving through a neon lit valley. That was just me, though. You know, just kind of.
Yeah. And Tim Lewin, he must be bladdered, the amount of gin he's got through.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the amount of instruments he makes, there's got to be 12 bottles on each. He's done a gin one. He's done what else? I can't remember. He's done a Penderyn whiskey one. He's done a Jack Daniels one. And he looks ever so
blimey. Yeah.
Hope he never does an absinthe one. My God.
That'll have an unusual keys on it. And anyway,
he should never take up far eating. That's all I can say.
But that was a beautiful piece of music, amazing again. So Martyn, sorry, just give us a little bit of quick of where we got that from. And
well, this is actually one of the tracks from an album we played a few shows ago from Machine Records.
Okay.
This is for Machine Records 4 compilation, and so I think it's Yaniv Navot or Navot.
Yep.
Is Israeli, and he lives in New York apparently.
Oh wow, superb, amazing stuff. Thank you very much indeed for letting us play that amazing piece of music. Talking about amazing pieces of music, this is one of my choices for tonight, which is very unusual for me, but I just love Gene Stealers. So if you haven't come across Gene Stealers before, there's a song in our archive on the YouTube channel. So if you go to featured artists in the YouTube channel, there's a Gene Stealers in there, which is Murder in the Car Park. So this is a different one from them and a slightly different flavour from them. Gene Stealers from Cheshire. Wonderful, wonderful band. Loads of stuff they've got on there. If you have a look on, I think it's actually SoundCloud's probably the best place for them. But anyway, have a listen. This is Gene Stealers. This is Fostering Lambs.
Close up, please. And sometimes you wear red turn, but not today.
If you can get to sleep tonight after that, good luck. That was Gene Steeler's Fostering Lambs. Look at Martyn's face. He was blinking terrified. Look at him. Poor lad.
Well, I thought you should save it for the Halloween special, because that was scary stuff.
Brilliant. It was just superb. It was amazing. I mean, and it got more and more scary as it went on. And because I sent Gene Steelers a little message just to say, is it okay if we play this? And he sent one back saying, it is a bit of a number, that one, you know. It is quite a scary one. So, well, I know, but that's why I like it. It's just great. How did you find it, Phil?
It was amazing, wasn't it? It's terrifying. So I've put a heavy-booted monster stomps in twisted delight as he rhythmically loses his marbles to the voices in his head.
Again, Phil, you've encapsulated the whole thing with the most perfect set of words that could possibly be put together. It's brilliant. And obviously it was Silence of the Lambs that is sampled into there, which just...
Yeah. Oh, was it?
Okay. Yeah, and that's where the title comes from, obviously fostering. Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
So it was very cleverly done.
I mean, some of those sounds there I thought could be from a porn movie at a certain stage.
It was getting a bit screamy and a bit I'm not sure what sort of internet stuff you watch, Martyn, but it is. It is a brilliant piece of music. It really is. So yeah, any other little additions you want to stick in there, Martyn, apart from obviously your preferences?
Well, I mean, the industrial beat was really top notch. Yeah, I mean, possibly could reference maybe to Aphex Twin. I noticed when I looked on SoundCloud, it said, "Is this something to do with Wasberg? Or is it Wasberg?"
I think I don't know, because again I spotted exactly the same thing there, that it's mentioned in the title of the page on SoundCloud, isn't it? Waspberg in there. So I think the two must be connected. I've not had a conversation to find that out, if I'm honest, but yeah, the two must be connected somehow. But yeah, it's
amazing track.
It really is. And if you go onto SoundCloud, there's more songs on there, and there's more movie related songs on there. There's a De Niro who is not De Niro song. There's all sorts of stuff on it. It's just brilliant. It's just fantastic listening experience going on there. So yeah, please do go and support Gene Steelers. Thank you very much for letting us play that from a local community person there in Cheshire. Thank you very much indeed. Right, we're going to move into a piece that Martyn and Phil have put together here, which is just a fantastic piece. So we're all going to shut up for I'm going to shut up mostly for a little while. We're going to play a piece of music which you'll recognise, I'm pretty sure, and then we'll move into a part of an interview, and then we're going to move into another piece of video, and then we're going to move into another part of an interview, and then we're going to move into another song, and then we'll come out the other side of it. So you won't see us for a little bit. You'll see Phil and Martyn, and you'll see something amazing. Enjoy this thoroughly. Martyn, I'm just going to give you the last few words on this, because I know I do talk too much. So you put all this together, mate. So you just give us your little intro to this, please.
Well, you're about to hear two pieces of music. In between, you've got a couple of interviews, and right in the middle of that, you've got some well-known musicians talking about an album, which was electronic album written in 1969, called An Electric Storm. So this is in essence about, more or less, about Delia Derbyshire, who worked at the BBC Radiophonic Workshop. So the first piece of music you're going to hear is probably one of the best, the most iconic pieces of electronic music ever. And then we come out, after the interviews, you'll come out and hear a piece by Delia Derbyshire, which is also an astonishing piece of music. So we're going to shut up for probably about half an hour, aren't we?
Absolutely. Well, I am. And you guys are going to have a chat with people inside there. Let's have a listen, and we'll see in about half an hour. So enjoy this thoroughly. I know I will.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Martyn from Puls8 Radio. I'd like to welcome Dr. David Butler, and I'm with my colleague and co-presenter Phil, and we're going to talk to David about his association with Delia Derbyshire. David is a senior lecturer in drama and screen studies at Manchester University, but I think he's got a few tales to tell about how he became to know Delia Derbyshire, who, as people probably would know, wrote probably one of the most famous electronic pieces of music in the world, the Doctor Who theme. Anyway, so David, let's talk about how you came about to know of Delia. Let's have a chat about that.
Let's get in there. Yeah, well, hello, Martyn, and hello, Phil, and hello, all viewers and listeners. Well, I mean, my route to discovering Delia Derbyshire was, as a child growing up in the late 1970s, as a lot of people of that generation, was through Doctor Who. Her version of the theme tune, her arrangement of Ron Grainer's original composition, was still being used until 1980.
Was it 1980 that stopped using it?
That's when they stopped it. Yeah. Then they got Peter Howell's version came in, which I love as well. I mean, that's the one, not just for the nostalgic purposes, but I think a lot of the later ones start to get a little bit cluttered. I'm very fond of the current one that Sega Nakanola is doing, because he's gone back to use some of the component parts of Delia's, and then he's done things to them in the same spirit of her.
Did she not do a reworked Doctor Who theme on the VCS3, I think it was? She didn't really like synthesizers, which is ironic, but everybody thinks the theme was actually done on a synthesizer, but it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. I mean, I think that's one of the things that often surprises a lot of people, to realize that was pre the synthesizer days at the Stereophonic Workshop. And then they get sort of the early ones, like you said, they get the VCS3 in, the Delaware, courtesy of Peter Zinoviev, who died very recently.
Sadly passed away, yeah.
That's right. And Delia had worked with Peter. They were part of a setup called Unit Delta Plus. So she had access to that kind of fledgling technology he was developing. She did a number of variations of her original, sort of adding sort of spangles, and then anybody who knows Doctor Who from the 1970s will know that at the end of every episode there's this fabulous electronic scream that goes into the closing credits. So she adds that in.
Right, that was added. Okay, I hadn't realised that.
Yeah, that's not there right in the very first version. So she sort of upgraded that, but for its 10th anniversary, she was asked to do a completely different take on it using the synthesizer that Radiophonic Workshop had by then. And by all accounts, her heart wasn't in it. You can hear this version. It is out there. This is the story. They didn't use it on a broadcast of Doctor Who in the UK, but by accident, it was left on some copies of those John Pertwee stories, which went to Australia. So our Australian friends got to hear. There's a handful of episodes with this version, the Delaware version of the Doctor Who theme tune, and then that subsequently that's been released on DVDs and things like that. But it never went out in the UK. Probably, okay. I think Delia wasn't that disappointed about that. But I mean, when I was hearing the Doctor Who theme tune, I didn't know that was Delia Derbyshire.
No, obviously not. No, none of us did.
No, I mean, she still wasn't credited.
No, not at all.
On Doctor Who. She doesn't get a credit on the Doctor Who closing credits until, I don't know if either of you know when it is.
The 50th anniversary, I'm pretty sure of it.
That's right.
I was watching out for it, and there it was, and I felt very emotional.
Yeah, me too. Seriously, I agree. I thought it was a really beautiful gesture that they did it. So I didn't know who was doing that. The first name that I ever associated with the Radiophonic Workshop was Dick Mills, because you'd see his name in the closing credits, and then there would be that special sound, Dick Mills Radiophonic Workshop, and it's such an evocative label. What is this place? What's what goes on there? And there's all that everybody says things like were they wearing white lab coats and twiddling all kinds of extraordinary levers and things and stuff like that.
Yeah, I spoke to Dick Mills a few years ago, and he's a lovely guy.
Fantastic. Yeah.
You do sort of imagine these people in their white coats doing all sorts of strange things to oscilloscopes.
Oh yeah. And actually, if you've ever got to see the reformed Radiophonic Workshop perform live in the last 10 years, a lot of their gigs, Dick will come on stage in a white lab coat.
Yes,
to play up to that. But yeah, I mean, so my route to it was you know, like a lot of kids of that generation, and not just children, we didn't have a video recorder. So me and my sister, you know, our favourite shows on telly, we would put the tape recorder up close to the TV and record those shows and then listen back to them at night when we were in bed, you know, sort of like, this is like pre-audio books, you know, being a thing. And it's quite something actually that when you've got a TV program you've recorded on a cassette, can it still tell a vivid story if it's just the audio? And the things that did that were things with Radiophonic Workshop soundscapes, because the sound was doing so much of the storytelling. So Blake 7, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and the Box of Delights were, you know, real favourites of ours. Oh, that the animated version of Ulysses, the science fiction version of Ulysses, which was like mid-1980s on BBC, children's BBC at that time, but it had a really lovely electronica soundtrack. So that was where I was really starting to listen again and again and again and become obsessed, like really just becoming intimately familiar with those soundtracks. But the first time where I could absolutely put Delia's name to a piece of music and make that connection was there was a cassette. There were two cassettes actually, Doctor Who at the Radiophonic Workshop, Volume 1 and Volume 2, and I got both of them. And also there was a cassette called Science Fiction Sound Effects with a picture of the Liberator from Blake 7.
Oh, right. The Liberator.
Yeah. And it was just, and I remember buying that from the BBC shop in Eldon Square in Newcastle, because if you wanted to have a good day's shopping, coming from West Cumbria, you either went to Carlisle or you went to Newcastle to do your shop. I remember going there, you know, I'd be like, oh, whatever, like 14, 15 or something like that, and getting that cassette and the Doctor Who one. And on that Doctor Who cassette was Blue Veils and Golden Sands. And that piece just absolutely, I was just spellbound. I know we're going to play it later on. Yeah. But that was the one for me where, and she's obviously, you know, she's credited, and you make that connection. You go, I want to find out more about this person because that's just extraordinary.
Yeah, it's an amazing piece of music, and she made it from a metal lampshade. The main frequencies, the sounds is just beautiful. The way she's actually using tape manipulation to delay sounds on it, it's just beautiful.
It is, and actually in the archive there are so many extraordinary things in there. But one of the revelatory recordings is there's a makeup tape for that piece where you can hear her gradually transforming particular sounds, and one of those sounds, you're absolutely right about the metal lampshade, Martyn, the Kulikon. It's one of her favorite sounds. But the other thing that's quite prominent in there is her own voice. And if you hear in the background that
yes, of course, I forgot about that.
There's this sort of like counter melody which is that's Delia's voice. It doesn't sound like her voice, but she recorded a voice, then repitched it, playing it back at different speeds, lots of heavy filtering on it, gradually turning into this sort of counter melody of, as she said, the camel's hooves going off into the Saharan shimmer.
So was that piece actually composed for a TV series? So I can't remember now.
Yeah, it was. Again, a lot of people who Doctor Who fans will know that it turns up in the John Pertwee story Inferno, which is John Pertwee's first year, and it was used there essentially as a piece of stock music. But and another one of hers, like the Delia Mode, which is again one of her more famous pieces. Both those were on the Pink Radiophonic Workshop album, which has been re-released. If people want to track down a lot of her music, then the Pink Radiophonic Workshop album, you know, you'll get some of her most beautiful pieces on there. But its first appearance was in a documentary for the BBC about the Tuareg people in the Sahara, who was like nomads and just making this kind of like slow journey across the desert on camels. And Blue Veils and Golden Sands doesn't appear like that in that actual documentary. It's sort of a fresh mix that was done for the album, but there's different sort of like variations of it in that documentary piece, and it just captures that, you know, you can hear the heat haze in there, you know, the shimmer on the horizon.
It is a great piece for that sort of setting, isn't it?
Yeah. I got to see that documentary at the British Film Institute a few years ago. I went into their archives to watch it there. And it'd be lovely actually for that to be released, because the piece is beautiful, but I think when you see how it fits with the film, you get again that just that respect for how sensitive she is at responding to the images and fitting them like a glove.
track sort of took you by surprise?
Each track actually takes you into an experience.
It does.
Yeah, Love Without Sound.
Yeah, Love Without Sound is my favourite track on the album.
It's a strange track to start the album with, in a way.
A very odd sounding electronic pop song.
The chord changes are pretty weird, they're not standard.
It sounds really elastic to me, with all the feedback and the sort of stretchy pitched percussion, which is almost feels like it could jump off the tape at any moment. This music concrete sort of oddness.
I sense the musicality, the straight musicality of David Vorhaus.
They used David Vorhaus' double bass pitched up, trying to make it sound more like a violin.
There's that musicality, but it's sort of left to centre.
Some of the songs are built up from sounds, and I'm not really sure
how it was done.
There's a lot of sounds and sound effects used in the album,
textures and so on,
which on their own possibly wouldn't come across as being particularly musical, but they're used in a very musical way. It's an incredible application of the work that Delia and Brian were doing at the BBC Radiophonic in an album that's song orientated and designed to be a commercial record.
Then it goes into My Game of Loving,
which I really like, actually.
I've always liked My Game of Loving.
My Game of Loving is quite disturbing.
I think it's an incredible track, and I'll say that despite the grunting and groaning, it's not because of that.
You feel like you're in the world of 60s free love for a second.
There's a lot of pitch shifting in there going on.
There's pitch shifting in the orgy scene, which I find a bit disconcerting.
There's a lot of speeding up on the album. They've sped sounds up, and that often adds a slight comical sort of element to a song, even if it's not meant to, you know.
There's one part where there's a guy who just sounds like he's having the best time ever in the orgy, and he's cracking a whip, and that just like appears. You can only really hear it if you're on headphones in a section. Like, oh my god, he's having a great time, this guy, more so than everyone else. And I just think the attention to that sort of detail, whether it was conscious or subconscious, they managed to create this atmosphere,
which is, I think, trying very hard to be provocative, very late 60s, and can be a bit embarrassing when you're listening to it.
I might have skipped the kind of orgasm track. That would have been excruciating in front of my dad.
Yeah, the orgasms. I don't know what the purpose of them were, but they didn't have to be a purpose.
There's definitely something going on that record. There's rumours that some of the moaning and groaning is real, and having met David and seen the twinkle in his eye, I think there's every possibility that those rumours are true.
There's a lot of edits in the whole album.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of edits in that. A lot of overdubbing, and can you imagine if there was like 1,000 edits, Delia must have done a lot of that because she was, the editing queen.
Yeah.
And David did some.
Delia Derbyshire was amazingly brilliant at chopping tape and making music from tape.
Many hours of work.
Hours and hours of editing.
Yeah.
To get it right. I bet they were tearing their hair out, arguing, and no, that doesn't work. Do that one again.
Then you get to Here Come the Fleas.
Here Come the Fleas, what the hell's that all about?
Just totally disturbing, I find.
Here Come the Fleas is quite bizarre. I don't actually like it. It's my least favourite track on the album.
I sometimes skip that track.
It makes no sense to me.
I find it a bit bad trip.
It's a bit like the Joker in Batman or something, it's like, what is it? And what's the point?
It has a bit of the zany English, almost musical.
That kind of crazy British humour.
Kenny Everett liked it, apparently.
There's that little montage sequence. It's like something from the Goon Show.
Yeah, like the Goons.
Yes, I was thinking Spike Milligan, definitely.
Yeah. That is straight out of the Goons or something like that.
Python.
Someone like Bruce Lacey.
All those people kind of inhabited that world at that time. Beatnik times where you just sort of broke the rules,
It's so brilliantly cartoonish and intricate and
funny sound effects and stuff.
They're so radiophonic, and you think, I'm sure I've heard that before,
Well, Major Bloodknock's Stomach, the Dick Mills segment, it almost goes into that.
And then they come in with something completely opposite, and you're sort of thrown against the wall.
the beauty of that one, that it isn't actually corny. The humour is pitched at the right level. I think that's quite an accomplishment. Something
really celebratory about the use of sound.
Then it leaps out again.
Firebird, brilliant song.
Firebird is like a breath of fresh air.
Firebird is beautiful.
Firebird's our favourite. Okay.
Firebird is my favourite track because I love the melody and the whole thing about it. It's I often come back to that.
And it's like a little perfectly formed song.
Firebird is very melodically Delia.
But yeah, that melody I think is her melody, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Left to her own devices, her melodies could be pretty odd and fantastic.
It's a lovely tune. It's a well-written song.
It's quite uplifting.
Musically, but it's not particularly
No.
lyrically, is it?
No, it's not.
That's a kind of ABBA trick,
Yes,
isn't it? Where you do a fantastic song you want to dance your heart out to, and it's all about breaking up.
The opposite, yeah.
And it's sung in a very quirky way.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing that dates this album, I think it could be the vocals, maybe. They do sound very much of that time.
And British, but peculiar. But actually some of the unsettling nature of it is possibly this mix of proficiency and amateurism.
Is it a deliberate kind of naivety kind of thing? I think it probably is.
There's a wonderful lightness, and I think when you hear that within the tracks, I think that's Delia.
Yeah. David is doing a lot of the arrangements, maybe. Brian is doing a lot of the darker stuff, and Delia's doing the melodies.
Delia's coming and breathing in life.
Breathing light into it.
I really love the start of Your Hidden Dreams.
It's a slightly more mysterious and darker tone.
You've got these familiar kind of whooshes and swooshes and almost like the Doctor Who theme, the way it starts.
It's got some lovely instrumentation and some lovely chord progressions in there, so just some lovely sounds. It's got a slightly stately, slightly melancholic electronic sound, and I like that kind of electronic music.
And if they were living in London in the 60s, it would have seemed like a free time. That track really embodies that time for me, I think, or what I imagine that time would be like, how I'd want it to be.
Then we get to the Visitation.
That is completely genius. I love the Visitation. I think that's probably my favourite track on the album.
It's probably inspired me the most to do other things.
Here you've got the story of a motorbike accident and the supernatural aftermath of that.
It's like a psychodrama and deeply affecting.
How did they get there with that kind of massive stream of, a story kind of viscerally played out?
The use of a narrator taking us through it.
Did they write a scenario? It's incredible. It's really not straightforward. The time signature is weird, so you never really know where you are in the beat.
So many different layers in there. The sound design element of it, maybe.
There's lots of really nice sound effects on that track.
The sounds are really, really brilliant. It sounds like things treated through the VCA of a VCS3, chopping up like a tremolo type effect. It was brilliantly thought out. It sounds like somebody's knocking on the panel of the VCS3, which I've done loads of times actually over the years.
Amazing blanket of darkness and feedback.
I could see the influence of them working at Radiophonic Workshop in the Visitation.
Kaleidophone Studio were making all these sound effects for theatre, so
Delia and Brian would have been working on radio stuff and stories illustrated by sound and the new way of thinking about sound as well, and bringing to life those ideas in a sonic way. So yeah, completely fantastic.
and also it's got amazing use of panning and the way that they use the sort of stereo, and it can be really extreme or
sweeping of sounds across the spectrum, which is really, really well done.
The stereophonic effects are crucial to the enjoyment of it. The way sounds are moving into space.
Such depth to it, such depth of field.
For me, that's the standout track on the album.
Smoking drugs and listening to that. genuinely frightening if you're listening in the dark.
Black Mass and Electric Storm in Hell.
Well, that's not taking any prisoners as a title, is it really?
Is it an invocation as well? Could it be used as an invocation because it was used in a Dracula film?
It switches sides, doesn't it? And it pans as it's going.
Sometimes quite extreme panning.
It's always nice to hear stuff that's panned hard left and right. It's really gone out of favour.
I actually stole that idea for a thing I did with Nicholas Roeg, the film director. The idea of a drum solo panning with other stuff going on was in my mind, and it must have been from White Noise.
Phasing of the treatment on the drums again sort of connects with the United States of America, the way they electrify treated drum kits.
The pitch shifting down in the drums is particularly used now in a lot of grime and hip hop. Oh, there's so much about this album I love.
The sad thing for me about White Noise and the Kaleidophone studio that they set up was the album was incredible. It demonstrated an incredible use of sound and would have been a showcase for what the studio was capable of. It's just a shame that the three people couldn't carry on working, into the 70s together, but the studio itself really didn't last more than a year or so and only produced the one album, and then White Noise as it was ceased to exist. Delia worked briefly with Brian going forward, but White Noise as we know it was over.
And coming up to date, just recently had Caroline Katz do her docudrama, or what do you call it, David? Your docu?
I call it a docu-fantasia.
I prefer that one. Well, people may not realise Caroline Katz is also a wonderful actress, and most people probably know her from Doc Martyn, playing Doc Martyn's wife. So it's quite strange to see her in this context. And I've heard an interview with her. Like you, like me, she is nuts about Delia Derbyshire.
Yeah, that's been a labour of love for Caroline.
Yeah,
I mean, she's worked on that film in different forms for over 10 years. I can remember when she first came to visit. I think we'd on the archive had barely been in Manchester. I hadn't been there that long, and it wasn't where it is now. Is in the John Ryan's Library on Deansgate, and anybody can go there to visit it. You don't need to be an academic to go in. So all the tips, bar one, have been digital. Yeah, but anybody can go along, and a lot of artists have been going there and listening to the stuff and reading the notes, and that includes Cosey Fanni Tutti, who does the score for Caroline's film.
Yes,
which is great score, So Caroline came up, and I remember she came with Julian Barrett actually, and they had to listen to some things and looking through the paper documents. And so she gradually was developing it, and it was a short film first, I think around about maybe 20 minutes. And then that short film played at the London British Film Institute Film Festival. I think that gave the project a bit more profile. And so it got from there, she got Rook Films on board, and they really pushed it forward, and it became a feature. And actually the version that's on the BBC Arena, that's a BBC cut, because her cut's even longer than that, but because of the broadcast, because they needed whatever it is, a 90-minute.
What's the full-length version?
The full-length version, there's a theatrical release, or a festival cut, which was shown at London, and that was about 15-20 minutes more. Caroline would tell you there's an even longer version.
All right.
The stuff that she really was loath to to leave out.
Yeah, it's called The Myths and the Legendary Tapes.
One of the things I love about it is it's got the spirit of Delia in it. So just as the Radiophonic Workshop were often using found sounds and repurposing sounds, in that film you'll see that they often have the same actors doubling and trailing up and playing multiple characters. And if you think of that almost as a Radiophonic Workshop technique of actors sort of just repurposing them.
And isn't this the first time we've actually seen someone play Delia Derbyshire? Quite possibly.
No, she's cropped up. She's turned up in a few things.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, there's been a handful of plays about her. There's a brilliant one by what was Noctium Theatre. Called Hymns for Robots. That was done about 3 years ago, and that toured around. There was one in Glasgow about 15 years ago, and there's been a radio drama version of her. She pops up very briefly in Mark Gatiss's.
Oh yes, on the Doctor Who. Yeah, I know the one you mean. Yeah, she does. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
yeah, she's there very briefly.
Yeah, it's got David Bradley as playing
William Hartnell.
William Hartnell, yeah.
First Doctor. Yeah. And there are actually, I know there are other sort of like projects in development.
Well, this is like the first. Well, this is like the first major one, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. I think on television or in film. Yeah. Also, has been like theatre and radio, and I really like that Caroline doesn't try to do an impersonation of her. It tries to get the spirit of her.
Because we were talking a bit earlier about working class girl from Coventry, and she has this. Her accent is obviously very. It does sound very upper class. As you're thinking, well, where's that Coventry accent? And how did she lose it somewhere, or did? Yeah.
Well, I mean, like one of the documents in the archive is actually her elocution exam results.
Oh, I see.
So she got a scholarship to go up to Cambridge, and again, you imagine working class person going up to Cambridge. A lot of stigma on you in the 1950s. Back then, there still is now. Not just going to Oxbridge, any university. That sense of that's not a place for me. I was the first person in our family to go away to universities. It's not because my parents, my mum and my dad, it wasn't an option for them. When they were young adults. Yeah, so it's an interesting thing, her voice, because when you listen to it, you can hear traces of the Midlands in there. And I think when a lot of people do dramatize her, like Dick and Dom on Absolute Genius did an episode of Absolute Genius where Delia was one of the, and they had like an animated Delia on there, and they gave her this really brief encounter, cut glass RP accent, and that's not what she's got. She's got this strange, you can tell it's an accent that's been crafted, sculpted.
Yes, yeah.
It's been worked on. So again, I like it when people don't go for the really the stereotypical Brideshead revisited accent, because that's not actually what she had. Yeah. Anyway, so I think it's a beautiful film, and it doesn't try to claim that it knows all the answers. It's still, it gives Delia that agency, that we're not pretending that we know everything about you, that there's still mysteries there that really only Delia knows the truth of. And then Cosey Fanni Tutti's score, which I've seen that some people have put on Wikipedia that it's made from samples of Delia's archive. I know Cosey would like to correct that was listening to a lot of the archive audio, but that was his inspiration.
Inspiration, right? Yeah.
And then she generated her own sounds for it. She felt like to be in dialogue with Delia would be to work like her, basically. So there's a lot of Delia stuff in it, but not in Cosey's score, which is fabulous. So yeah, no, it's a lot to enjoy about that film. And then I love the image of Delia slowly going around on a bicycle. And what I like about that, and again, some people watching go, what's that? It's just like random thing. And for me, it was like, that's just like Delia going her own way, in a way that she's got her own rhythm of doing things. And, one of the reasons that she had some problems with the synthesizers that were coming in the 70s was, I think that the kind of logic at the BBC, the Radiophonic Workshop, was when they got the synthesizers in, they were really struggling as a facility. As they become more successful, more and more producers, directors want to go to the workshop to commission them for BBC productions. So there's more demand being placed on them. And by the time you get to the early 1970s, they really are like a breaking point. And there's various letters. Desmond Briscoe, head of the workshop, he writes saying, I've got staff taking leave, sick leave, annual leave early. So the synthesizer really came in to kind of help with that and sort of speed things up. But also that means that there's a pressure, then there's an assumption that if you've got that synthesizer, so you should be able to turn around your commission a bit more quickly. And that's not her aesthetic.
It wasn't her, was it? No.
It was like to work and craft sounds and things. So I think that was a lot about, like why the synths were. So that kind of pace and rhythm, and just seeing Delia slowly going her own way while the world is going at a different rhythm. It's a poetic, there's a truth to that image, but it's a poetic truth. So
it's a great way to actually come bang up to date. Obviously that happened this year. So, and let's hope next year or next few years there'll be something else, hopefully, that will spark information about Delia Derbyshire. You know, it's just wonderful, isn't it?
There's honestly, there's so much more. There's so many more mysteries than this. You know, one of the longest myths is that after Delia left the BBC in 1973, she sort of just faded away, and a lot of people will tell you that she didn't do anything after 1973 or 1975. One of the most amazing discoveries in the archive was getting a donation from Polish-born artist Elizabeth Kosmian, who worked with Delia on a film in 1980, and she donated a 16mm copy of that film, and we've remastered it and spruced it up and shown that at cinemas, you know, around the UK. And that's incredible, because that's like 7 years after a lot of the standard accounts of her life tell you
that she stopped. Yeah,
she stopped. She stopped until Peter Kember, you know, in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So she's still full of surprises. I think there's more to discover. Yeah.
Well, David, thanks. It's been brilliant chatting to you again. Yeah. So hopefully people on the Puls8 Radio will really get to enjoy this discussion. What we're going to do now is go out with Delia Derbyshire and Blue Veils and Golden Sands.
Martyn, Phil, that was just brilliant. That was mesmerising. I'm going to watch that time and time again. Fantastic interview, genuinely mesmerising about the whole thing, and really, really interesting. What a wonderful, wonderful little interlude that was. Martyn, just tell us a little bit about how that came together. And I know you got some little bits and pieces you want to talk about as well around that.
Well, as we talked about in the interview, you know, the name Delia Derbyshire wasn't someone I heard of until about 10 years ago. And then we realized that she was involved with the Doctor Who theme. Yeah, when I went down to the Doctor Who exhibition, and that's where we got into my psyche. When I was doing my degree back in 2013, our lecturer at the time, she played this piece of music, and David Butler was on it, and it's a piece of music which you would hear in the interviews, was this dance piece of music which was called Dance from Noah. So one of the pieces he plays an extract from it, and obviously everybody in the electronic music arena at the time got excited. Said that could have been written in 1971 or whenever it was. It sounds like a piece from Aphex Twin or something like that. So I contacted David Butler when I was doing my degree, and he helped me with. I interviewed with my dissertation on Delia Derbyshire. So that's how I got to know him. Unbelievable knowledge. Well, obviously this is what he teaches about film and TV and the sort of studies. But the knowledge he knows about Radiophonic Workshop and Delia Derbyshire is just incredible.
You got a little something you were showing us there before, Martyn. Not that.
Yeah, well, obviously not very. Now, Blue Veils and Golden Sands. The big thing about that was actually she sampled what's called a Kulikon lamp, a metal lamp. I've got a replica here for people on the radio. I'm going to try and listen to the radio. I'm going to try and tap it.
Oh, yeah.
So you can imagine sampling that. You've got some wonderful sounds coming from this. And that's what basically what she used, as well as her voice. That piece is about 40, 50 years old now.
Blimey. Amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was brilliant and really knowledgeable. I couldn't get over the guy's knowledge of Delia and what have you. It was fantastic. But I wrote a few words about Blue Veils and Golden Sands, and in my words here, I mentioned gongs, which must have been that lamp covering. So I put, the Sheik will see you now, Mr. Bond, in his desert tent filled with gongs and the smoke of incense eddying in the breeze that is gusting from the fluted throats of ancient horns. Because it's got a sort of a mystical, sort of a Persian feel to it, with the gongs and the instrumentation. It's a fantastic piece of music. I don't know. I mean, she was a true pioneer.
I mean, it was fascinating interview, fascinating piece of music. But also, Martyn, we've got more pieces of this interview coming up, haven't we? Because there's loads of it.
What you've heard is two parts. I'm going to put them after the show. I'm going to put there's all 6 parts up where we go off on a tangent a bit and talking about all sorts of things. But generally, each part has got another subject. Yeah. So it is a big interview. So that's why we couldn't couldn't actually broadcast it on the whole show.
Brilliant. Well, we'll look forward to listening to the rest of that amazing piece of work. Well, right, we're going to jump into the other stuff now. I'm afraid we've got to. So next up, we've got, and just to prepare you, lads, we need a monster for this. So we've got Sverre, not Johansen, with the Tatra Mountains. Martyn, your monster, please, because this is Martyn's monster.
Martyn's monster. Monster.
It's gargantuan.
The sea monster.
The what?
The sea monster. It's the sea monster. Was it John Pertwee? They come out of the sea. Scared the willies out of me, those sea monsters.
Yes. Did me as well.
Yeah.
Martyn.
Indeed. Give us a monster, Phil.
Well, because this is a sort of song with the title of Mountains, I've gone for the Ogres, which I think once again an early 70s monster, which was basically when they'd run out of budget again, just a piece of stone. Piece of terrifying stone, an Ogre. Look it up.
Not as much as the one that I've picked. They definitely ran out of budget on this episode, which is I can't even, I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce this correctly. Tharils, Tharils. Basically, it was Brian Blessed. That's basically all it was. It was just a man with a massive beard.
Yeah.
It was basically all it was.
Yeah. When they run out of the budget, yeah.
That's it. Just stick a big beard on him.
Bring on Brian Blessed.
Yeah, it'd be all right. Yeah. This is Sverre, not Johansen. This is Tatra Mountains.
you're calling the butler, I'm very partial to tea and muffins.
Wow, what a visit to the Tatra Mountains that was. I had a visit to the Tatra Mountains once, and I had some Tatra tea. If you've never been to the Tatra Mountains and never had Tatra tea, there's 3 different flavours of Tatra tea. Be very, very careful, because they come in slightly different coloured bottles, and they have different ABVs on them. One goes up to, I think I'm right in saying, 80%. That's the one that I got in trouble on. Yeah. I think one starts at 14, it goes to 16, and the last one's 80. I think it is. Yeah, amazing stuff though. But what a wonderful piece of music! You actually felt like you were in a mountain range there. It was absolutely beautiful, Martyn.
I've acquired this from. He's on a label called Spotted, the Spotted Peccary label.
Yeah.
Peccari or Peccari. I think it's actually a Peccari is a small pig.
Are you sure?
Honestly,
Not now. Not now.
Yeah. So it's got an amazing array of electronic artists like Eric Wallow, but I think they're the label from Canada,
right?
And so they gave me quite a few albums to listen to, and I'll be picking a few of these in the future.
Yeah. So I've written Smog slumbers resonantly deep in the mountain as tiny pterosaurs flit and sweep past its misty peak in this mystical odyssey of Tolkien-tinged time-warping wonder.
No point me saying anything after that, really, because mine just sounds like rambling nonsense as soon as you've spoken.
So is that all you got to say, Phil?
Yeah, come on, Phil, put some effort in, will you?
Yeah.
Takes me hours to stream this shit.
What do we pay you for?
But it was.
If only.
It was, I know, but it was a massively atmospheric piece, wasn't it? Just absolutely beautiful. It was huge, expansive, and you just felt like you were stood on the peaks of those mountains. And I think you described that beautifully there, Phil. That really did. Yeah, it explained the expanse of the whole thing and the freshness around it and just everything. It was amazing. Right, listen, lads, we're gonna have to jump on again, I'm afraid, because otherwise we're gonna end up with a 4.
I'll just give you the link.
Oh, sorry, Martyn, please do.
Yeah. So he's on Bandcamp. Sverre Knut Johansen.bandcamp.com.
Thank you very much indeed, Mark. No, sorry, you had. I'll let you finish your sentence. You had. It's fine. So let's move on very quickly. Right. So next up, we've got. Okay, this is an absolute classic. This is a beauty. I love this. This is Vitamin Dream. This is Space Lounge. was Vitamin Dream, Space Lounge. I felt like I was back on the Newman 480 for that. I think we need to revisit the Newman 480 in an episode or two. We'll see if Gary's up for that. I don't know. He may not be. We'll see, but I think I really think as autumn comes in, I need the warmth of the radiators in that spaceship were so warm. It was lovely in the autumn time. We ought to do that, don't you think, Phil?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Look at the enthusiasm on his face. Anyway, what do you think of that song?
Right. Well, I've written down here. It's funny that you should mention Outer Space and the Newman 400, whatever it was. The cast. I've put.
Everybody's forgotten that or tried to. But anyway, go on.
The cast of the Star Wars Cantina sit in the departure lounge as an exotic songstress serenades them with mind-altering words in preparation for their cryogenic voyage through the asteroid belt to Jupiter.
Holy
Fit straight in there.
Whack-a-mole. Right, Martyn, follow up that.
Follow that, yeah. Well, they're a duo from Germany. The Space Lounge sounds like a bit like Space Lab, so there's a bit of a craft work thing, but it's quite trippy. As you mentioned, they are dream pop. So Cocteau Twins, Portishead to come to mind, maybe. vitamindream.bandcamp.com.
Can you believe it? It's the last song of the night. I can't.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It has.
What a show.
What a show. But I hope you've saved your best monster till last. So, coming up now, we've got Hybrid, Break My Soul. Phil, what's your big monster to end off on?
Well, this is fantastic because I did a bit of swatting up on my monsters before I came on and come across this one. How they got away with it, I'll never know. They must have got sued because this is the Scorasens, I think it's called.
Right.
The Scorasens. Basically, it's bloody Godzilla. They ripped Godzilla off. They just took Godzilla, a bit of footage, and put it in Doctor Who. Talk about copyright.
You see,
you look him up, Scorasens.
The people at Doctor Who are probably going now, bloody hell, somebody spotted it. They're all suddenly checking the contracts and everything. They're all nice and retired. Oh, we're going to get sued because of Phil Goodall now. Bloody hell. Anyway, what's your monster, Martyn?
Well, I'm not sure they're actually a monster, but I'll go with the Ood. They were a sort of interesting race, weren't they?
Was it the Ood or was it the...
I'll go with that. I'll go with that. Absolutely. We've got to stop rambling, really, and get on with the song. I'm just going to go straight in with Davros. I can't believe none of you picked Davros tonight. He's the top of the monsters. Top of the monsters, he is. Half Dalek, half something or other else. Slightly brainy head. Bit weird looking. Yeah. Anyway, there we are.
Oh, anyone for a jelly baby before I go?
Oh, well done.
Would you care for a jelly baby?
Yeah.
Would you care for a jelly baby?
Tom Baker. I'm very surprised you put your scarf on, to be honest with you, Martyn.
Should have put your scarf on, yeah.
Yes, I know. I couldn't find a scarf, but I'm going to have a jelly baby.
You help yourself. It's great radio. Right, here we go. This is Hybrid. This is Break My Soul.
That doesn't mean you can break my apart like paper, blows away like ashes in my hand. No, I won't see you later. Go build another castle out of sand, like ashes in my I'm not drowning in your sea, believing in you. I'm not even death of me, not waiting for the curtain drop, waiting for the hurt to stop, not drowning in the teardrop for your.
Hybrid, Break My Soul. That was amazing. Dark, cool, orchestral. Norwegian? Possibly not. I don't know. Was it Norwegian?
Worcestershire.
Oh, yeah, it was close, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, actually, originally from Swansea. There's a Welsh connection, originally from Swansea.
Right, okay. Brilliant. Well, it was an amazing piece of music. So thank you very much, Lee. Let us play that. Phil, wax lyrical do.
Yeah, well, I've put here, the ticking of the doomsday clock hearkens the nightingale's lament that rises adrift on a Persian magic carpet of staccato synth rock-driven enchantment.
Beat that, Martyn. Come on. Now is your time to trump. If you're going to trump at any point in the night, now is the time.
No, I can't be there. All I can just tell you a bit of information about hybrid. If those people who don't know much about hybrid, I've been a fan for 15 years or so, and amazing music. I mean, I think one of their the biggest hit they had an album out, Finished Symphony, back in about 2000, I think it was, from the album Wide Angle.
Right.
And I think they were more of a breakbeat collective at the very start, but the cinematic elements come into it. And in particular, one of the albums, one of my favorite albums is Disappear Here was one of my favorite albums, right. Which is where this track comes from. But Hybrid basically are Mike and Charlotte Truman. Charlotte joined, I think, back in about 2007.
Yeah.
And they got married. So that's they basically are a duet now. Mike, I think, he does a lot of composition for films such as The Chronicles of Narnia, X-Men
really?
Originals, and Catacombs. Yeah. So
wow.
as well as being Hybrid, he has a lot of film work. You know, you can hear it in the music as well.
As I said, dark, and cool, and orchestral, and just like
quite
a
Eastern
rich piece
as well.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Yeah.
Quite Eastern. Yeah. But it's just, again, beautifully produced piece of music. You know, you can tell the production in there is proper professional production inside it. It's just beautiful, lovely.
Oh,
stuff.
definitely. Yeah.
So again, guys, I mean, Martyn, you've picked some amazing stuff tonight. Bookended it beautifully with a couple of special acts. Pieces in between were amazing. Phil, the words were lyrical, beautiful. I will go to sleep tonight thinking about I can't really remember what you said. I'm going to say Norwegian fjords. But it was something like that, probably. But it was lovely.
Yeah.
It was anyway.
Well, it's costing me a fortune in illegal substances to write that crap.
And Martyn's supplying him. He's making a fortune.
Yes.
I'm his dealer.
Loving it. He's loving it. Martyn's loving this. Every time it's every episode, ka-ching, that's it. We're in again. Brilliant. Phil's gonna have to buy a load.
I just got to feed it down the line to him. That's what I'm on top. Well, I'm on top at the moment. I'm not sure he's on top or just.
Obviously, we're joking. And don't take drugs, kids.
No,
it's not big or clever.
Just say no, kids. Exactly. Just say no.
Look what happened to
just
Zamo.
Pass it to us adults.
Look what happened to Zamo, who ended up running a key shop. There you go. So these things could happen. Right, let's have a quick rundown of what we've listened to tonight. An amazing evening in music. We started off with Carabou, Never Come Back. That was Dan Snaith from Canada. Amazing musician. I'm glad we've discovered that. Well, I'm glad you discovered that for us, Martyn. Thank you very much indeed. Discoteca Fatale, Revelations was up next. Beautiful, thoughtful, and gentle piece of music. Then we moved on to Navot, A Little Lucas. I had the Cybermen for that, and you boys did fantastic impressions for that as well. We thought it was a bit Tim Lewin at first. Well, I did. It was just me, but there we go. That's the me. Then we moved on to Gene Steeler's fantastic piece of music from Gene Steeler's Fostering Lambs. If you haven't heard a bit of Gene Steeler's before, go onto the YouTube channel, go into our featured artist area, and there is Murder on the Car Park from there from Gene Steeler's also. Then we moved on to the wonderful Ron Grainer and Delia Derbyshire with that classic Doctor Who theme, and the wonderful interview with Phil, Martyn, and Dr. David Butler. Plus, those are the pieces we had in there, and look forward to more pieces of that coming up in the future. We then moved on to a piece from Delia Derbyshire herself, Blue Veils, Golden Sands, wonderful piece of music. Then we moved on to Sverre, Knut, Johansen, Tatra Mountains, again, wonderful, dynamic, really massive, expansive piece of music. Then we moved on to a Vitamin Dream Space Lounge, great laid-back vocals mix there, and we should really be back on the Newman 480 for that one, and maybe we will be in some future episode. It all depends on how well Phil thinks that will go down. We'll see. And then we ended off the night with Hybrid, Break My Soul, which was just a wonderful piece of music again. So amazing. Martyn, you've done a great job once again tonight, bookended and selecting the tunes that sat in between there. Thank you very much indeed. Have you anything to add to the night? Is there possibly anything that you can add after a night like that?
Well, just enjoy this episode and tune in for some more of that interview when we put it up online.
It's a great piece of advice. Just what I've got one quick question for you, Phil, before we actually do that bit there, though. So,
yeah,
have you chosen which of those two colours behind you you're actually going to go for?
Yeah, we did 15 years ago. The one on the right.
Ah, the one on the right. Yes,
it's gone out of fashion now.
As it is probably got out of production as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was just wondering. So Phil, do you want to do as the first big goodbye?
Oh, I've been rehearsing this. Ta-ra a bit, 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 ta-ra.
That's going to be a difficult one to beat. I'm going to give that a 9.7. Martyn?
Goodbye, Master.
It's not bad, but it's only a 4.
Brilliant. That was amazing.
I've been overly harsh, so I'm going to give you a 4.7. maybe 4.8. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, but it was hard to beat Phil's. Anyway, I hope everybody's enjoyed the show tonight. There's more of that fantastic interview.
I hope I was going to get a K9 for that.
Yeah, I can see what you've done there. Go on. Because you've done that joke, you can have a 9, but it's still not beating Phil's. It never does. It never does. You just can't.
No.
You can't beat him. So there we go. That's us. We're all done. We'll see you next time round, hopefully. Let's see you soon. Bye-bye.
Ta-da.